Okay. So welcome. What I do want to do is start by, we've asked if there were any questions, but I want to start with the policies for this month. Can everybody see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, great. Well, I'm Libby Perry, and I'm in the Media Communications program. And we do have a couple of people who take our web classes. We have the digital cinematography, and we also have media communications. At this time, you'll find me respond to things that have to do with the seniors, and then some questions that will have to do with editing for the web, which is your first class if you're in media communications. The digital cinematography students, they are in the advanced class. They've not had anything with web yet. And so basically everybody is kind of on the same level. We do have some media communication students. When they reach web design, they are more advanced. But we go through the same phases of web creation, web design, building. And so really wherever you are is okay. We're still going to go through the same processes together. Okay. The best way to contact me is going to be through the assignment because for a number of reasons. For one, it's where your extension button is. And so oftentimes you're contacting me because you want to, you've had something come up and you want to let me know you're going to maybe miss the deadline. So that's where you want to contact me is through that assignment that you're referring to, so that I can find your work quickly and I can help you quickly. Otherwise, I have to look for it and we want to help you as fast as possible. So please contact me through the assignment. The late policy for this program, if you let me know ahead of time, you can be 72 hours late and lose no points. After 72 hours, there is no grade and you do receive feedback, but no grade after that. 3 days is a pretty generous grace period, I think. I think you would agree. So that's the policy here. There are no late submissions for anything that has to do with a peer assignment. So if there's peer feedback, a video feedback for your peer, that must be turned in right away. Once those discussion boards close, they won't be able to see your post. Okay. And it will close for everyone. Your late work, if you submit something in week 2, depending on how busy the month is, it's very common for that not to be looked at until week 3 and maybe as late. If it's something that doesn't depend on your next assignment, maybe even as late as the week the class ends, because we do have several days after the class to get your grades finished and in. We try to get those all done as soon as they come in, but we can't always stop the workflow to go back and grade late work. So I tell you that so you don't worry. If you don't see a grade, I do go through before I send grades off and I check every zero or every really low score, every zero, and I open them all up to see if you've submitted anything. All right, so that's how that works, and that's why. Be sure to read the deliverables for this class. They're very important. They're written specifically for each assignment. If you are requested to submit a PDF, you don't want to submit the application file. If you create a, presentation, slides, and so forth, you want to export those to the PDF. You don't want to upload the file for your instructor because they're probably not working in that application. It's closed and they have to download download your work, open the application, save your work on their folder, and then grade it. And then they have to remove it from their computer too. So it's just a lot of steps. That's why we like PDFs. They're just beneficial, and you're going to have clients who ask for the same thing. So not very many students do it, but please don't submit the application file. See, you probably know this, but every now and then I'll have a student ask me, and that is if the person after you who you are to review for a peer review hasn't submitted their work yet, then you're going to go to the next person who has. And if that's the next person and the next person, then that's how that's going to work. Okay. It's perfectly fine to skip over the person after you if you need to do that. We don't code in this class. Full Sail has a web design program. This is the media communications where the web building is part of your tools that you explore and create. For digital cinematography students, for example, you're creating your website to showcase the work that you've produced over your time in your program. All of web design is doing that. The first year students, we give you content the first couple of weeks. You are learning how to use the platform, which is going to be Wix in this case. But we don't code. There'll be no coding. This is communication and design is what we're doing. Okay, we can look at some CSS, and I can certainly give you some leads on some fairly easy ways to learn, but that's not our focus in this 4 weeks of time. So this is really important. When we go into selecting your template and building your site, it's really important that you choose the Wix.com and not the Wix Studio. Wix Studio, they're going to have it highlighted, okay? So that, you know, they're encouraging that. That's their newer platform. But what we want is the Wix.com because that is the free version. And you will still be able to do anything that you would want to do. You can, you know, create numerous websites. And so that's really what you want to do. You don't want to choose accidentally the Wix Studio, which is a paid version. Okay. This is just showing you how to go about renaming your site. Everyone is going to call theirs draft and then first and last name on your first submission. Your first submissions are going to be in the 2.2. And so one of the things I ask you to do is rename it when you submit. When you resubmit your final, and that will be around the same time for each of you, you're going to rename it to final instead of draft. And again, the steps are right there for you. Wix is very easy. There's only a few icons to really learn. And then, you know, a little bit of menu literacy, but it's very intuitive. And there's plenty of great help and good support, or we wouldn't be using it. But you can always contact me, of course, if you need to. And so you will be sharing your website with me when you submit it at the end of week 2. You'll submit a published link, is what they'll call it, over in the top right. When you get into your template and you're working in your editor, you'll see the publish button. And that's what you'll select. And it will give you your link. And that's what you will send to me. The thing you do not want to do is when you're in your Wix editor, you don't want to go up and copy the browser URL because that will be broken for me. It won't, because you're in your private editor. There's no way that that link is going to work for me. It will work for you, and people will say, but it works for me. It always will, but it doesn't work for the other person. You do have to go through these steps to make that work, all right? Now, there is another way to do it. You can go on the left inside your Wix editor as well and select site. You'll find there are a couple of ways to do things in Wix sometimes. The other one is, this one is just the quickest for you. It's up and you'll see that button there the whole time is why. But you can go here and select publish, and it will also give you a link to copy. I show you this because this is also where you can duplicate your site down here. After you get feedback, you can duplicate your site and make your edits and your revisions and your completions on your duplicate site. That way, if there's anything that you feel you lost, you know, and you want to go back, it'll be very easy. You can go back to the other site, it's still there. The other way to do it would be to go to site history, and you can go back numerous versions and steps. The duplicate site's just going to be a safeguard for you. It's just will make you feel better. It's not a big deal. Some students will forget to do it. That's not a big deal either, but it is a nice safety net for you if you've worked hard on your site and you want to take, you know, a few more risks with your duplicate. You will be selecting templates to work in. So I want you to be very thoughtful about those. I really want you to stay as simple as you can, because when you're making your own site for your professional work, all the courses do this at some point in the month. You want it to be very clear and simple, because its goal is to show your work. And your work is going to be the main focus, not bells and whistles. Okay, that will just be distracting if there's a lot of things going on in your website. They'll miss the main idea, which will be your work. Parallax scrolling, that's when you've got a picture in the background and a picture scrolling over it. That, if you are at an intermediate or advanced level, you can try those, but they're not usually worth it. They are nice when there's something very specific. I don't know if I can, you might want to try this site. The link hasn't been working lately to the eventual website. It'll go to a video, but down here, if you want to check out Porsche Evolution, there's an interesting use of parallax scrolling there. But typically, the background image has to be just right. I would reserve those particular templates that have that kind of moving thing. You can make the background plain if you end up selecting one. Make sure you're at an advanced or intermediate, at least, level for that. So if you are new to web design, or if you feel a little uneasy about it, or new to Wix, these are some templates that are pretty simple to work with. There are some sites that students choose. For example, when in the first year students, Tatiana, you would be doing this one. When you create a website for a food truck, well, a lot of students want to choose the food truck template that they come across. Sometimes that's the most difficult. There is one in particular that is yellow and purple, and it is more complicated than any of these. And the reason is, people will think, well, it's a food truck, so I'm halfway there. But all the branding has to change. The branding of the company we give you is blue, and it's tacos. And this particular site is for hamburgers. And so there's just a whole slew of edits that have to be done before you even begin. So any of these others can be, made a food truck. All of them can be. But I give you these just in case, and you can Google these names. You can say Wix template and, put these names in and they'll come up. But if anybody feels, uncomfortable about it, then take a picture of these, because you might be useful to you. Okay. Okay. So you're going to create, or one of the phases of web design. I see something in the chat. Just a minute. Okay. Most welcome. So an important phase, you'll have your discovery phase where you'll be looking at competitors for the industry that you're building your site for. And so you'll look at sites that you like for that, and that'll be part of your discovery. And then you'll think about the planning phase. And Tatiana, you will actually do this phase for your client, your fictitious client. Web design doesn't do this. The media communications who have taken Editing for the Web have already done it, so I know that they know to do it. And the web cinematography students haven't had Editing for the Web, and so I just feel like, they're creating their site for them. They're not actually creating them as part of their business service that they're offering other people, whereas media communications is. So that is why some are doing this and some are not. But it is always the phase that is involved, and that is creating a sitemap. And that's simply a list of the pages that are going to go on the website and what's going to be on those pages. It can be a simple categorical list. You could add, a couple of things here that you're going to maybe add to put on them, but something this simple is fine for your fictitious food truck that has a menu. And then web design, you're creating something Very simple. You don't even have to have a home page if you don't want. You can have your works page, your about, and your contact. These we do expect you to have the works, about, and contact. Okay. Are there any questions about this? It's much simpler than people think, and sometimes they overthink it. There is a second part to the sitemap when you talk about planning the layout of your, or the architectural structure of your website. And that is your wireframes. And that's just a diagram of your sitemap. So if you have 6 pages in your sitemap, you're going to have 6 pages in your diagram, in your wireframe. And all it is, it has no details. It looks just like this. No real text, no real photos, because that would distract the client. They're going to go off on a tangent and forget what you're there to talk about, which is the page layout and the sitemap and menu and so forth. To make sure your contact is last in every case. Okay, that's where people are accustomed to finding it. And we don't want people to have to think. That's part of the usability. They're used to functioning in a certain way and they're in a hurry. And we don't want to make it more complicated for them than it needs to be. Okay. You can always contact me through the assignment if you have a question about it. Okay. If you are uncomfortable with design, then take a screenshot of this, because if you do these 5 things, you're going to be in pretty good shape. Okay. If you grid your images, I do want text to be left aligned. It gives a straight edge, nice clean columns, and it also is easier for the eye when we're reading and returning to the same location on the next line. Do keep things as simple as you can. And color palettes, there are Canva 100 palettes are great to choose from, but your template's going to come with a color palette. If you choose one color, keep in mind, you've changed all of them, because once you add another color, it may not blend with all the others. Okay, so be mindful of that. You can upload an entire complete palette if you like, or create that, choose those colors. Choose only 2 fonts. Again, your template's going to come with that. It's going to have the headers and body text, which is paragraph text. This is something that happens a lot, actually, as students will try and change up their fonts. And the more you have, the more complicated it is, and the messier the page will look. So that is why we ask you to do that. You remember, well, anyone who took graphic design or anything, or an art class in school, you learned about the elements of art, and you learned about the principles of art. And the elements are just the things like line and color and shape, whereas the principles are how those things are arranged. So one of those principles is proximity. So you want to keep your group-related content together, right? The mind is trying to make sense of things. It's looking in quadrants on a page. So you don't want to have something over in the left high end that is actually related to something on the far bottom end. Make it easier for the mind. Okay, so group those things that are related close together, proximity. Okay. How to embed a video. Some people may have forgotten how to do this, and it is required when you submit your videos this month. Okay. Videos may be something like Editing for the Web will present a competitor analysis of other food trucks. And you'll know how to do that because you've been online for a million years. And you'll look at a couple of websites and you'll form opinions, because you will have them, I promise. And you'll talk about those. And that will be a screen recording of their sites. Both classes, you're going to create a screen recording of your peer's website, and you're going to give your RISE peer review. Okay, and you will embed that video into FSL. But this is just how you do it in your YouTube video. You are going to go to share on the bottom right, and then this window will open. You'll choose the embed, and then you will go to, you'll copy all of it. It'll show up for you in YouTube, and you'll copy it all, and then you'll go to your FSO, and next to your image and your video, here is the embed symbol. You'll select that. This box will open up, and the code that you copied from YouTube, you will paste right in there and insert it, and there it will be. It is so simple. There will really be no problems with that, no glitches, I promise. So in your YouTube video, you'll go to share. You'll choose the embed, which is the first one on the left. You'll copy what it pops up, and then you'll paste that into your assignment, okay, on FSO. Any questions about that? Okay, I know a lot of you already know how to do that, but there are always people who lose about 5 points over that. And so it's too simple for that to happen. And basically, these are the overall steps that I just went through. Remember, just to wrap up, okay, the late policy doesn't apply to all assignments. The discussion boards are peer involved, so they're time sensitive. Make those a priority. Week 4, that's a time where we want you to be wrapping up and closing off your class and getting ready for hopefully a breather over the weekend before you start your new month. Keep in mind that we do, over the last year or so, develop the Copilot Tutoring Center at Full Sail. They have student tutors who are there and ready to help you with maybe an application that you've grown rusty on or forgotten about or wanted a little help with, a refresher, or to even read assignment instructions to help you get through that if you're feeling unsure about something. Okay, they're there to help. Deliverables, super important. And we talked about that, whether it's exporting to a PDF and not uploading the application, or if it means embedding. And that really, the embedding is, especially for you, it's not hard for me to click a link and it open. Much easier than opening a whole application if somebody doesn't submit the PDF. But the embedded isn't that hard, but it is something that you should be doing. And once it's pretty empowering once you see how to do it, because you'll be able to do it in your website for things. It's just important. And I know the people that are here today probably already know these things, but this, of course, is going to be potentially posted for others. Are there any questions so far? Okay. So I'm going to end the recording at this time. Thank you for those who were not able to show up and maybe just needed to see the video. Thanks for watching this. And if you have any questions, please contact me through the assignment feedback. And we're going to have a great month.